What the Ferrari radio didn't play reveals everything. During lap 51 of the Austrian GP, Lewis Hamilton said, "I want to stay out." Ferrari ignored him. Seconds later, he was forced to pit, and Leclerc secured the podium.
My tyres are okay, can I extend? How many more laps left?
And box 20 laps.
I don't want to stop. 20 laps left.
Box.
That wasn't strategy, it was a coded message, a power move, a silent betrayal. Box now. It was not a request, it was an execution. At lap 51, Lewis Hamilton, nursing worn brakes and a delicate race balance, asked to extend his stint. His voice was calm, calculated. But Ferrari had other plans. Riccardo Adami, cold as ever, ordered him in. No dialogue, no reasoning, just a command. Hamilton obeyed. He always does, at first. But what followed was the final act of a quiet sabotage. Leclerc, who had already stopped, gained vital time. When Hamilton rejoined, the gap was unrecoverable. He'd held Russell at bay, he'd managed the degradation, he'd fought the car's instability. But his own team stripped him of the reward, a podium that would have marked his first in red. This wasn't a strategic error, it was a decision soaked in hierarchy. Ferrari didn't just call Hamilton in, they chose Leclerc. And Lewis? He didn't hide the fury. "I didn't need to box," he said post-race, tight-lipped, avoiding eye contact with Adami. That wasn't feedback, it was accusation. He wasn't Hamilton's pick, he wasn't even considered when the 7-time world champion joined Ferrari. Yet there he was, Riccardo Adami, the voice in Lewis's ear, speaking not as a partner, but as a handler. Adami is no stranger to hierarchy. Once the strategist behind Sebastian Vettel, he's seen power shifts at Maranello before. But this time, it's different. Hamilton isn't a project, he's a storm. And Adami, he's trying to contain it. Their communication is strained, almost scripted. Short responses, clipped tones. During critical moments, Lewis asks, Adami instructs. No space for debate, no trust earned. In Austria, this dynamic imploded. The call to pit wasn't just bad timing, it was a refusal to listen. Insiders whispered that Adami still holds allegiance to the Leclerc camp, to the old Ferrari mindset where seniority is performative and control matters more than performance. Lewis knows. That's why every time he questions a strategy, it's not about tires, it's about loyalty. This isn't just a poor pairing, it's a silent civil war. He tried to adapt. For the first time this season, Hamilton moved closer to Leclerc's setup. Same floor, similar aero balance. The goal? Bridge the gap. The result? A car that bit back. Leclerc thrives on oversteer. He slides the rear end with elegance, flirting with disaster, yet escaping degradation. Hamilton, however, pays the price. The same setup that flatters Charles burns Lewis's tires alive, and he knew it. This is his playground, Hamilton confessed. But that wasn't praise, it was resignation. He was driving someone else's machine, in someone else's rhythm. The Ferrari wasn't neutral, it was coded. Behind the technical terms, ride height, balance, differential settings, was a truth no telemetry reveals. The SF25 is built in Leclerc's image. And Hamilton? He was asked to mimic, not to lead. Austria exposed it. Hamilton's pace faded early, rear tires overheated. He wasn't battling the field, he was fighting a setup designed to betray him. Lap 50, Leclerc boxes. A clean, unchallenged stop. He rejoins in traffic, but not for long. Just one lap later, Hamilton is called in. Not asked, called. The timing is no coincidence. It's a calculated delta. By forcing Hamilton to stop a lap later, Ferrari hands Leclerc clean air and a 3-second cushion that he'll never lose. On the surface, it's strategy. In reality, it's control. Hamilton had track position. He had the right to dictate his stop. But once again, the call came from Adami, not from data, and it came with chilling precision, just as Leclerc needed the space. The undercut wasn't just effective, it was gifted. Hamilton knew it. "Why now?" he asked, voice tight, disbelief palpable. But there was no reply, just silence. The same kind of silence that follows betrayal. By the time Hamilton rejoined, the story was written. Leclerc up in third, Hamilton trapped in fourth. Ferrari called it strategy. Hamilton felt the message. You are here to follow, not to fight. We have brake issues. That's what Hamilton told the world after the race. But listen closely, not just to what he said, but to how he said it. Flat, disappointed, almost rehearsed. Like someone forced to repeat a narrative he doesn't believe. From lap 10 onward, Hamilton was nursing the brakes. Early management, reduced pace, strategic lift and coast. But why only him? Leclerc, with the same car, the same floor update, the same aggressive balance, showed no signs of brake trouble. No radio complaints, no degradation reports, just pace. Hamilton's brake problems weren't mechanical, they were symbolic. A warning, a limit, a leash. By slowing his pace through supposed fragility, Ferrari ensured one thing: he'd never reach Leclerc again. This isn't conspiracy, it's pattern. Every time Hamilton threatens to climb higher, a new issue appears. Tires, overheating, brakes. Always just enough to keep him close, never enough to let him rise. Austria wasn't a glitch, it was a message. This is how far you're allowed to go. From turn 1 to turn 6, Russell attacked like a man with a point to prove. Hamilton didn't flinch. He held the outside, elbows wide, brake feel on a knife's edge. It was one of the purest duels of the season, and it meant nothing to Ferrari. Because what George exposed in those laps wasn't just Hamilton's defensive genius, it was what Ferrari fears most: Lewis, unleashed. Russell is no longer his teammate, but in that fight, he became his mirror, a reminder of what Lewis once had: freedom, trust, status. Now, every move is under surveillance. Every overtake feels like a violation of protocol. Hamilton didn't need to beat George. He needed to prove he still could. And he did. But Ferrari's response wasn't celebration. It was withdrawal. They ignored the moment, the message, the momentum. As if pretending the fight didn't happen would make it go away. It won't. Russell came to battle. Hamilton used him to scream silently, "I'm not done." For the first time in his legendary career, Lewis Hamilton will arrive at Silverstone not in silver, but in red. And that changes everything. This isn't just a home race, it's a crucible. The place where British flags flood the stands, where every roar carries his name, and where Hamilton becomes something more than a driver, a symbol, a storm, a reminder of what greatness looks like under pressure. But this time, the pressure is internal. Leclerc has already staked his claim: I want to win there. Adami will follow that script. The team will align. Hamilton knows it. So what happens when the red car in front is number 16 and the pit wall says hold position? Does he obey or does he unleash? The ghosts of Austria will follow him to Silverstone. Every fan in the grandstands will be watching, not just for victory, but for defiance, for a statement. This isn't about points. It's about territory, about who commands the Red Army. Every silence has a frequency. And at Ferrari, silence on the radio is louder than any scream. When Hamilton questions a call and gets no reply, it's not confusion, it's punishment, a coded reminder: you are not in charge. But Lewis has been decoding systems his whole career. From political silence at McLaren to Mercedes's icy PR tone, he's learned how to speak without words. And in Austria, his message was clear: I no longer trust the voice in my ear. Watch closely, his lines are becoming sharper, his tone colder, he's asking less, asserting more. And in Silverstone, with the nation behind him, he may finally do what Ferrari fears most: break formation. Not with drama, with precision, with a setup tuned to him, not to Leclerc. With a strategy he carves mid-race, with overtakes that defy calls from the pit wall. This isn't rebellion for glory, it's for legacy. If Ferrari won't give him the car to rise, he'll use the red suit to burn the hierarchy down. Truth won't be televised. But here, it's been decoded. If you believe Ferrari's silence hides more than strategy, stay with us. The next betrayal is coming.